Tomorrow on October 23rd, we enter Scorpio season. And in this video, I'm going to share with you 3 key themes of polarity that we are working with during this time. My name is Carolyn Yakopich, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Now, Scorpio's energy is very intense, passionate, there's drive. It represents death and rebirth and transformation. It is a very profound sign that reveals the hidden teachings and the mystery school teachings. It is a sign where we can go deep within to emerge into the greatest expression of who we truly are when we are connected to Source. Now, when we look at Scorpio and we look at these themes that are occurring at this time, we have a great opportunity to do inventory within and to step up and rise into a more expanded version of who we are in our connection, in our truth, in our fulfillment. And so the first theme that we work with Scorpio is death, rebirth. So we have the two ends of the polarity. So remember, everything that we experience in life has its polar opposite. So we can either be in the highest expression or the lowest expression of that energy. So the death is represented by the death of illusion. So Scorpio asks us to investigate within the self where we are still playing out stories or believing stories, holding on to past programs, patterns, behaviors, beliefs, and habits that are illusionary, that are of the old false matrix. Where are we still adding to the collective in an illusionary way? And the invitation is to do the work to transform yourself on an inner level, on an energetic level. And as you transform, you rebirth. And the rebirth becomes a surrender to the soul. So rebirthing into the connection to Source, connection to God, to Goddess. It's bringing you into that full expression of you. And when we come into this state of authenticity within the self, the true nature of who we are, it means we are in present moment. Now, in a lot of my other videos, I talk about this over and over and again because it is such a theme, and we are really being asked to come into presence, into our divine presence. Because if we're not in the present moment, we are either reliving our past and projecting into our future. And it's a combination of those two. So this death of the past, of the old, of what is not true, not real, allows us to step in and through into the birth of who we are, into really embodying us in our true nature in present moment time. And that connects you right in. It opens the field. It opens you to channel and to receive messages from your higher self, from the divine, from the cosmos, to start to align with your soul, with your destiny. So in the Kundalini teachings, we have this ideal that we move off the track of fate where things are being done or seem to be being done to us, and we move on to the track of destiny where we create our own reality connected to Source, connected to God, Goddess. And so we see when we are on the track of destiny that things are always happening for our highest and greatest good. And we can see the lessons occurring within even the most challenging times of our life. I'm going to share a story. It's coming through to share. So last year, I held a retreat in Glastonbury, England, the heart chakra of the planet. It was my first international retreat. It's like the opening of a new paradigm for what I'm bringing into the world with my work. And I came home and I felt this sense of being lost. I wasn't sure what I was going to do next. We were just coming out of, especially in Canada, all of the rules and regulations around the pandemic and traveling. And so in this moment, I was able to teach in person if I wanted to. And still, I continued to, even as things were moving through. So I decided, after being in person in this retreat and having this most expansive experience and the connection and the intimacy, that I wanted to teach in person again. And yet there was no place locally that I was feeling called to teach. So I started teaching in my condo where I'm sitting right now. And I started teaching, and I had a few classes in person. And then after about a 6-week period of time, I received a letter in the mail from the Condo Association telling me that I am not allowed to teach in my condo, which I own, by the way, because of the regulations around it being residential only. So I was told in this message, in this letter, that I couldn't even have one-on-one. I couldn't have any business functioning out of my condo unit. And I got really triggered. I felt a death. I literally did. It was like a shock. It was like, it really did remind me of a feeling when a loved one passes away. It was the exact same feeling, different situation, but it was like this death, this loss, this grief, it was heavy. And then there were layers of things that were showing up. There was past life memories of being persecuted because somebody complained. They didn't knock on my door, and I live in a building of 20 units, not many people. So nobody came to just ask me or talk to me. They basically told on me, and then I was told I couldn't do what I was doing. And the interesting key about this situation is that after the couple of classes that I had in my condo, I was feeling so lit up, and I'm like, oh my God, I can stay here, because I was already feeling like I was being moved out of this space. I already felt like I was being moved to open to other opportunities of potentially moving out of either my city, my country. I'm staying open because it's all unfolding now. And this was key. In the moment I received the letter and I had all these emotions, I received a little drop of wisdom from my intuition. And I heard the voice of Spirit say, you're not meant to stay here. We don't want you to be comfortable. You are meant to move. And I received that. And it was like this opening. So to be able to cultivate that presence where you receive the messages is so powerful. And mind you, I still had to go through layers of release, past life programming and experiences that I felt persecution, that I felt like I died and was killed for my gifts and for my abilities. As an oracle, as a teacher, as a healer, you name it, as a witch, as an herbalist, all these things, having all these archetypal patterns from my past all come up all at once to be healed when I felt persecuted in my own building. Yet I knew in that moment that nothing was happening to me. It was all happening for me. And so that is how powerful the perception shift can be if you can start to see it happening for you. So this is you not being on the fate track where things are happening to you and you're continuously on that wheel of karma, repeating patterns mindlessly without awareness and feeling a victim state of consciousness or angry about what's happening, right? It's taking your power back and stopping that wheel of karma from moving and moving and stepping onto the wheel of Dharma, into your destiny, into your expression, your fullness. And then you are open because you are in the present moment and the guidance comes through. And yes, still there will be moments where we have to clean up the residual, just as I did in my story from the past. It took me a while to feel like I could trust everyone I saw in my building, because I was always like, who told on me? It was like this unsettled feeling. And then eventually I did the work on myself and I cleaned myself up from the reaction of my past, and it dissolved, and I can meet anybody in my building and I'm fine. I don't feel anything. I don't feel any charge, any negativity. It is all clean within the consciousness. So this is the process of the death and the rebirth, the death and the rebirth, the death of the illusion, the story. Our story is what separates us from our true identity. Our story creates illusions, lies. It holds us in an ego reaction. It holds us to our past. And it's inviting us, when we catch that, to step into clear vision, 20/20 vision. And that can only come when we are clear and in the moment. So doing internal spiritual practices during the month of Scorpio season is imperative. And truly, I feel that it's imperative as we ascend to have something that brings you to center, to calm your nervous system, to relax your body, to clear the mind so that the fluctuations of thoughts, there can be space between them. And in those spaces and in those gaps, that's when the gems of wisdom come through from spirit to guide us into our soul's path. And so it is really, really important to find something for yourself, to turn inward, to reflect inward, to investigate, to see what you're holding on to that is no longer serving your soul. So I'm going to bring in, with this theme of death and rebirth, the card of Scorpio, one of the main cards of Scorpio in the tarot, which is the death card. So we have a few things I want to point out with symbolism here. So we have the snake, and the snake also represents this death and rebirth process. Now, if a snake did not shed its skin, it would literally suffocate from the constriction happening. So it slithers its way out of its skin and it sheds it and it's reborn, and it's this continuous process of being reborn. And the snake also represents the kundalini energy when it's dormant, residing in the base of the spine. And then we wake it up and it starts to activate the energy centers all around the spine, all through the central channel of the spine, and all around the body as it starts to move out. And then it starts to activate our higher brain centers and connect us in and plug us in to our truth. And so the kundalini wakes us up to our full potential. It is nothing to be feared. Yes, there can be a lot of extreme situations that happen when we wake ourselves up, and it's a continuous process of waking up again and again and again. And the more that we can do something to assist this process, Kundalini yoga is highly recommended. I highly recommend it. It has been a game changer, a life changer for me. Active meditations, creative meditations, ecstatic dance. There's so many different modalities that I love to use so that the physical body can be prepared to hold those higher frequencies of light. So when we are being blasted, like literally it feels like a blast of light coming from the cosmos as we ascend, as the whole planet and the Mother Earth consciousness ascends, as this light is filtered into us, we are able to relax into it because it is this high vibrational frequency that we're not used to, and it starts to release and dislodge all the lower vibrational patterns that are held densely within our body, within our physical structure. And so as we assist ourselves through specific practices, our body opens and relaxes to receive it and process and integrate it. And the process becomes a lot more gentle. And yes, there can be moments of intensity, yet we have this power to choose how long we want to stay in that story, in that intensity, in the release, and in that holding pattern, in the cocoon. And so we can allow ourselves to relax a little and allow the skin to shed, right? So this is the invitation. Now with this card, we can clearly see the death, right? And with the weapon, clearing away the illusion, clearing it away, cutting away all the things that are not of truth. And through this death, we see the souls emerging. So the soul is emerging from the death into the rebirth. And this card is representative of the god Osiris from Egyptian mysticism. We've got the crown of self-realization, self-actualization, full embodiment of God, Goddess. And this crown is the unification of spirit and matter. So we have spirit contained within the matter. And when the two crowns merge, we are unifying both spirit into matter, our soul into our physical body. And so this is the true unification within. And when we can unify the two, we are fully embodied in our divinity. And this is how powerful this time is, Scorpio. Scorpio is so powerful, so intense, yet penetrative and investigative. And it opens us to realms within the self, the mysteries within that are truly reality. They uncover this truth. And so I will leave that first theme that's very well-rounded and full of information to digest and to take in. So we have the second polarity theme, which is sexuality creativity. A lot of the times we hear Scorpio being the sign of sex, of sexuality, and we have these two expressions where sexuality in its lowest nature is connecting mindlessly, and it's releasing without connection. So sexuality is like this passionate and lustful experience, right? So passion in a lower nature of lust, and lusting after things and people and sex, and having that sex drive, and literally just releasing continuously. And in this way, when we release sexually in that lower nature, we're losing our energy. We're losing and releasing and giving our power away, right? So when we move to the other pole of this energy, we move into creativity. And the creativity becomes a co-creation with our soul. So that is a really big shift in perception, a big shift in expression of energy. And so if you come together in sex, in the act, right, there is this potentiality for fulfillment, for an opening. And we can merge and unite and we get a glimpse of the divine through that orgasmic state that runs through our body. And I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but I've been able to experience this orgasmic state, this ecstasy, this bliss feeling, simply from meditation, from dance, from being creative, from being fully connected into source. And so this happens over time as we work on our inner state of being, that it starts to translate into our everyday life. And the act of sex is not actually necessary to get the glimpse. It is a way. So it's moving from the lower energy of sexual connection to a tantric energy of connection on a soul level. And so this is also another invitation to move into that higher expression. We think about the womb space, right? We have the second chakra, our sex organs, and we can either be in that lower nature of sex and release and giving the power away and lust, or we can move into that more empowered version of birthing. The womb space is a birthing space for creation, right? So we can continuously birth creation through our creativity. And we have two options here on earth. We are either destructing or creating. And so destruction can happen, of course, internally. Self-sabotage, insecurity, self-doubt. And then moving into that state of confidence. Feeling secure in the body to express the trueness of who you are is where the empowerment comes from. And so working on these lower chakras will assist this process for you to fully be that expression, to move up into the space of your heart where you're already safe in your body and you are ready to open and to be and to express that truth from personal will to divine will. And then as you are safe in your body and relaxed, you open this portal to receive the wisdom, the guidance, the messages that are meant for you at this time. And so we have this second polarity now of sexuality and creativity, and being able to be in that highest expression of co-creation with the divine. And to create with source means to be present. Again, we keep coming back to this theme of presence, because presence is what really plugs us in to source. It plugs us in, right? So finding the ways that assist you to come back into this state, here and now, present. And so now we have the third theme that we are working with during this season. It is attachment and surrender. So we have two options here, right? Attachment. Now remember that Scorpio is the sign of desire. So we will be more amplified in our desires at this time, more active in our desires. There will be more drive to go for what we desire. And the key in this is to detach from the outcome. So you ever have this experience where you want a particular outcome and you're so focused on the outcome that you start to squeeze around that fixed idea of the outcome, and your energy is so tight, like it has to happen this way. It has to happen this way. If it doesn't happen this way, then all hell will break loose. Whatever the story you are telling yourself. But it's like you squeeze so tight around this outcome that what happens is the mind starts to create a game. And the game is called micromanaging. And then you start to micromanage how everything is happening leading up to that outcome that you are so fixated on. And so the invitation at this time, because the theme of attachment and surrender is here, and desire is a main component and a main expression of Scorpio, is to be able to see clearly the outcome that you desire and to release it, to move into a space of trust and surrender. And this is, again, the theme tying in is the surrender to the soul. All of these themes, these polarities, they all tie into each other. So if you can see the outcome, project your energy, your intention behind it, and relax. And take the step in front of you, not the whole staircase. Take the step in front of you that is revealed, that moves you towards that outcome. And that's all you have to do. If you worry about the whole picture, the whole thing, it starts to deplete your energy field. And so we want to move into the area where we have more sustainable energy, and we're not pressurizing ourselves. We're not holding ourselves tight and fixated on the things we wish to create in our life. So release the attachment and come into a state of surrender. Now, to come into that state of surrender, again, it's important that our body is relaxed. If we are in that fight or flight response of our nervous system, if we are continuously feeling on edge or in danger or in our survival emotions, it's impossible to surrender in that state of being. And so coming back to the basics of those energy etiquette practices to help us calm our nervous system, to relax our body. And then from that state, we can surrender. We can hand it over to God, to the divine, to Goddess. And then the universe, as we surrender, as we see our desire, as we project our desire with our power, with our vibration and our frequency and our full energy behind it, and we send that signal out into the quantum field, the universe starts to rearrange everything around us, in our environment, in our world, to match our inner vibration. So remember that the inner alignment is and always is the most important. The inner alignment with our soul, with our heart. When we're relaxed in our body, it gives us the opportunity to open our heart. We move from survival to thriving. It is that simple. And so I wish you the most amazing Scorpio season ahead. We are really in for some experiences of a lifetime coming up, because we have another eclipse and we are already in this energy. So we're about midway through this eclipse season, and the first one was super potent, super powerful. And so this is also a time where working on our energy and our presence is very imperative, and a very powerful way to find alignment and be in flow with the universe and to co-create with the divine. So our next eclipse is approaching us on October 28th, and it's a full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus. Taurus is bringing us into abundance, prosperity, the material realm, anchoring these energies of abundance in our being onto the earth and opening ourselves to pure, full potential, infinite potential, and using our resources, our talents, our gifts to create abundance. Now, I will be offering an online workshop for this full moon lunar eclipse on the 28th, and I will post the link to sign up in the description of this video if you would like to join us. And thank you for joining me today. Remember to like and subscribe to my channel for more updates like this, and I will see you very soon.